I want you to think about the last nonstick pan you threw away. You probably bought it for 20, 30, maybe 40 bucks. You used it for a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Then the eggs started sticking, the coating started flaking, and you figured it was just worn out. So you tossed it and bought another one. That's exactly what the people who made that pan wanted you to do. I'm Dale Porter. I grew up on a 200-acre farm in Ohio. I spent over a decade working in Columbus restaurant kitchens, and I've been cooking real food my whole life. I don't take sponsorships, and I don't sell you things. What I do is tell you the truth about what's happening in your kitchen, and why it costs you more money than it should. Today we're talking about nonstick pans, where that coating comes from, how it breaks down, when it becomes a health problem, and what you can actually do about it. Because there is a playbook behind disposable cookware, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. If you want more videos like this, real food science, real money saved, no fluff, go ahead and subscribe right now. Hit that button. I'm going to be here every week, and this is not the kind of information you want to miss. Let's start at the beginning. The coating on your nonstick pan is called PTFE. That stands for polytetrafluoroethylene. DuPont invented it in 1938 and branded it Teflon in 1945. The chemistry is actually remarkable. PTFE is one of the most chemically inert substances ever created. It doesn't react with almost anything. Food molecules can't bond to it at the molecular level. That's why nothing sticks. It's not magic, it's material science. For the first 20 years, nonstick cookware was genuinely good. DuPont made PTFE coatings thick, industrial grade. Professional kitchens used them. The coating was applied in multiple layers, then heat cured at high temperatures to bond it to the metal underneath. A pan built that way could last 5 to 7 years of regular use without significant degradation. Then nonstick became mass market. Retailers wanted it cheap. Manufacturers started making the coating thinner and thinner to cut costs. What used to be applied in 3 or 4 layers became 2, then sometimes 1. The curing process got rushed. The metal substrate got lighter. The result is the pan sitting in your cabinet right now, a paper-thin layer of PTFE sitting on top of cheap aluminum, marketed with the same name as a product 10 times more durable. You're paying for the label, not the product. Here's the thing about PTFE that they don't put in big letters on the box. It is completely safe below 260 degrees Celsius. That's 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Below that temperature, PTFE is inert. It doesn't react, it doesn't release anything, it doesn't break down. Your scrambled eggs are cooked at well under 200 degrees Celsius. Your sautéed vegetables are fine. That part of the marketing is accurate. The problem starts when you go above 260 Celsius. At that point, PTFE begins to decompose. It releases PFAS particles, per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances. These are the compounds that have been in the news for the past decade. They're often called forever chemicals because they don't break down in the environment or in your body. Some PFAS compounds are associated with thyroid disruption, cholesterol problems, and increased cancer risk in long-term exposure studies. Now here's where it gets real. Your nonstick pan reaches those temperatures a lot more easily than you think. If you preheat a nonstick pan on high heat with nothing in it, you can hit 260 Celsius in under 2 minutes on a standard gas burner. An electric coil burner can do it faster. An infrared burner is even quicker. Most people preheat their pans before they put food in. Most people occasionally get distracted and let an empty pan sit on the heat. Every time that happens with a nonstick pan, you're in the degradation zone. At 300 Celsius, which is easy to reach, PTFE releases ultrafine particles and fumes that can cause what's documented as polymer fume fever in humans. Flu-like symptoms that clear up in a day. This was documented in industrial workers first, but it's been replicated in consumer kitchen environments. Pet birds are famously sensitive to this. If you have a bird in your house and you've ever burned a nonstick pan, you know this is not theoretical. The PFAS issue specifically applies to a manufacturing aid called PFOA, perfluorooctanoic acid. DuPont used PFOA to manufacture Teflon for decades. It was phased out of U.S. manufacturing by 2013 under EPA pressure. Pans made before that period potentially have PFOA contamination in the coating. If you have a nonstick pan from before 2013, that's something to think about. Newer pans are marketed as PFOA-free. That part is accurate. But PFOA-free doesn't mean PFAS-free. Manufacturers replace PFOA with other fluorinated compounds during manufacturing. Some of those compounds are now under the same regulatory scrutiny. The chemistry of the coating has gotten cleaner, but it's not a blank slate. So when the coating physically degrades, when you see flaking or scratching, what are you actually ingesting? The short answer is PTFE particles. PTFE itself is considered biologically inert. Your body can't absorb it. It passes through. The risk isn't so much the PTFE particles themselves. The risk is what's embedded in the coating from manufacturing, the residual fluorinated processing aids that can leach when the coating degrades above safe temperatures. This is a real distinction. A scratched nonstick pan used at low temperatures for eggs is a different conversation than a pan with degraded coating being used to sear chicken thighs at high heat. Context matters. Let me talk about what destroys that coating faster than anything else. Because if your pan is dying in under 2 years, something specific is killing it. Metal utensils are the fastest way to destroy a nonstick coating. PTFE has a Mohs hardness around 2. For reference, your fingernail is about 2.5 on the Mohs scale. A stainless steel spatula is around 5.5 to 6.5. When you drag metal across PTFE, you are physically cutting into a material that is softer than your own nail. This isn't a matter of being careful. Metal and nonstick are fundamentally incompatible at the material level. The dishwasher is the second killer, and this one surprises people. Commercial dishwasher detergent is highly alkaline, pH around 11 to 12. That alkalinity attacks the bond between the PTFE coating and the aluminum substrate. The detergent doesn't eat through the PTFE itself, it attacks the adhesion layer underneath. After enough dishwasher cycles, the coating doesn't wear away, it lifts. You see bubbling, then peeling. That's the adhesion failing, not the coating wearing. Every single dishwasher cycle shortens the life of a nonstick pan, no exceptions. Thermal shock is the third factor. You finish cooking and you run the hot pan under cold water to clean it. That rapid temperature change creates stress at the interface between the metal and the coating. Aluminum expands and contracts much faster than PTFE. Do that repeatedly and you're creating microfractures in the bond layer. The pan looks fine for months, then suddenly it starts flaking everywhere, seemingly out of nowhere. It wasn't out of nowhere. You've been building damage for a year. Stacking pans without protection is underrated as a damage source. The bottom of the pan above scratches the cooking surface of the pan below. Every time. If you're storing your nonstick pans stacked directly on top of each other, put a cloth or a paper plate between them. That's a 5-second fix that extends the life of your pan by months. Now let me give you the 2 tests that tell you whether your pan is worth saving or whether it needs to go in the trash. Test 1. Visual assessment. Look at the cooking surface under good light. If you see scratches, including fine scratches, but the coating is still intact and attached, that's surface damage. The pan is functionally degraded but not necessarily a health issue at normal cooking temperatures. If you see flaking, pieces of coating that are actually separating and coming off, that pan goes in the trash today. Flaking coating means the adhesion has failed. There is no restoration for that. The compromised manufacturing aids embedded in the detached fragments are now in your food. Test 2. The water bead test. Run your pan under water after cleaning it. On a healthy, non-stick surface, water beads up and sheets off. If water flattens and spreads evenly across the surface, the hydrophobic PTFE layer is gone. That pan has lost its non-stick properties at the chemical level. It's just a scratched aluminum pan at that point. Whether you restore it or replace it depends on what stage the damage is at. If your pan passes both tests, intact coating, just scratched, water still beads reasonably well, you can restore it. This is worth doing. Here's exactly how. First, wash the pan thoroughly with hot water and dish soap. Use a non-abrasive sponge. You're cleaning off any residue, oils, or buildup. Then dry it completely. Any moisture left will interfere with what comes next. Put the pan on a burner over low heat for 2 to 3 minutes. You're not heating it to the degradation zone. You're warming the aluminum substrate so it opens up microscopically and accepts the oil you're about to apply. This is basic material science. Metals are porous at the microscopic level. Heat makes those pores slightly larger. That's what you want. Take flaxseed oil or coconut oil. These are the correct oils for this process. Here's why. When certain oils are heated above their polymerization temperature, the fatty acid chains cross-link and form a hard, bonded layer on the metal surface. Flaxseed oil has the highest linolenic acid content of any common cooking oil, around 55 to 60%. Linolenic acid polymerizes exceptionally well. It creates a tough, smooth, bonded film. Coconut oil works similarly and is easier to handle. Vegetable oil and olive oil do not polymerize the same way. Skip them for this purpose. Apply a very thin layer of oil to the cooking surface. Thin is the word. You're not coating it. You're wiping it on and then wiping almost all of it off. The layer should look nearly dry. A thick oil application will cure uneven and sticky. Thin is the rule. Put the pan in an oven preheated to 250 Celsius. That's around 475 Fahrenheit. Leave it there for 1 hour. The oil polymerizes and bonds to the surface. Take it out, let it cool completely. Repeat the process 2 more times. 3 total cycles of thin application and heat curing. What you've done is fill in the micro scratches with a polymerized oil layer. It won't fully replace lost PTFE, but it restores the hydrophobic surface chemistry of the pan. Eggs will release easier, food won't stick the way it was starting to. The pan gets another year of life, minimum. This works because of surface energy. PTFE has extremely low surface energy. That's what makes it non-stick. Polymerized oil layers also have low surface energy compared to bare metal. You're restoring the surface chemistry, not the original coating. The result is functional even if it's not the same material. Now I have to be straight with you about the limits of restoration. If the underlying aluminum is exposed, if you can see silver metal through gaps in the coating, restoration adds a layer on top of damaged structure. That layer will not hold as well. The pan will need retreatment more often. At some point, the cost-benefit calculation tips toward replacement. And when it does tip that way, I want to tell you what to replace it with. Nana Ruth, my grandmother on my father's side, never owned a nonstick pan in her life. She cooked for 7 people on a farm for 40 years. Her kitchen had 2 cast iron skillets and 1 carbon steel pan. Her cast iron skillet is still in the family. It has been used continuously for over 60 years. No coating, no chemical concerns, no planned obsolescence. It works better now than it did when it was new. Cast iron and carbon steel are the real answer here. Let me tell you why, and let me tell you why people avoid them even though they shouldn't. Carbon steel is what professional restaurant kitchens use. When you watch a chef on a cooking show flip an omelet in a pan, that's almost certainly carbon steel. It's lighter than cast iron, it heats faster, it responds to temperature changes quicker. The cooking surface is bare metal, iron, that builds up a polymerized oil layer through use and seasoning. That layer is the nonstick surface. It's the same chemistry as what you did to restore your nonstick pan, except the substrate is iron, which holds the layer better and lasts forever. Carbon steel pans require seasoning before first use. You follow the same process. Thin oil layers, high heat, multiple cycles. The first few times you cook on a new carbon steel pan, things stick a little. That's normal. The surface is building up its layer. After 4 or 5 uses with proper care, a well-seasoned carbon steel pan releases eggs, fish, and pancakes without any oil at all. I've cooked eggs on a carbon steel pan dry, with nothing in it, and they slid right out. A new nonstick pan can't do that for long because the coating degrades. Cast iron is slower to heat but holds heat better. It's heavier. Once it's up to temperature, it stays there. It's ideal for searing, for cornbread, for anything where even heat over time matters. Nana Ruth's skillet has a cooking surface so well seasoned that it's black and glass smooth. Eggs release perfectly. She never used soap on it in her life. She rinsed it with hot water, dried it on the burner, and wiped it with a cloth. That's maintenance. The fear around cast iron is that it's complicated. It's not. Don't use soap. Don't leave it wet. Dry it completely after washing. Apply a thin layer of oil after drying. That's the whole protocol. People make it more mysterious than it is. The economic comparison is not even close. A good carbon steel pan costs $40 to $60. It lasts indefinitely. I have a DeBuyer carbon steel pan that is 12 years old. It is better now than it was when I bought it. The average person buys 3 or 4 non-stick pans in that same 12-year window. At $25 to $40 each, that's $100 or more, spent on pans that all went in the landfill. The carbon steel pan doesn't go in the landfill. Ever. The environmental argument tracks the same way. PTFE coating production involves fluorinated chemistry that creates industrial waste. The pans themselves are not recyclable in most municipal programs because of the coating on the metal. Every non-stick pan you throw away goes straight to the landfill. Every carbon steel pan you buy is used until you die and then handed to someone else. The math is obvious. I want to address one more thing before I close because I see this question constantly and I want to give you the real answer. Are the PFAS in modern non-stick pans actually dangerous at normal cooking use? The honest answer is that the science is evolving, and anybody who gives you a completely certain answer in either direction is not being straight with you. What we know. PTFE below 260 Celsius is inert. Flaking coating passes through the body without absorption. Modern pans are PFOA free. The residual fluorinated compounds in manufacturing are under active regulatory review, with conflicting studies on exposure levels at normal cooking use. What we also know. The fewer synthetic forever chemicals you put in your body, the better. We know that definitively. We know that cast iron and carbon steel have 0 associated chemical risks at any cooking temperature. We know that a cast iron pan can be heated to 400 Celsius and releases nothing. That comparison matters. If you have a good nonstick pan in good condition and you cook eggs on low heat, you're probably fine. If you're running a nonstick pan hot, searing, using it in the oven, getting into degradation territory, that's where I'd make the switch. Use what you have until you need to replace it. Replace it with carbon steel or cast iron. Don't replace it with another nonstick pan. That's the decision tree. It's not complicated once you have the real information. Here's what I want you to walk away with today. Your nonstick pan was engineered to last under 2 years because that's a business model, not a material limit. PTFE coatings can be made to last a decade. They were, for a long time. Consumer versions are thin on purpose. The degradation above 260 Celsius is documented science, not scare tactics. The coating destroys faster because of metal utensils, dishwashers, and thermal shock, all preventable. A scratched but intact pan can be restored with 3 rounds of flaxseed oil and an oven. A flaking pan goes in the trash today. And the long-term answer is a carbon steel or cast iron pan that you use for the rest of your life. Nana Ruth cooked 7 people's meals for 40 years on 2 cast iron pans. She never bought a replacement. The pan outlived her. That's what real cookware looks like. If this was useful to you, if you learned something that's going to save you money or keep something out of your kitchen that shouldn't be there, subscribe to this channel. I put out videos every week on real food, real techniques, and real information that nobody else is giving you straight. Hit subscribe. Leave a comment if you've got questions about your specific pan situation. I read them and I answer. I'll see you in the next one.